The following is a production of cprundown.com. The views and opinions expressed by the host of this podcast are those of the individual and not of any affiliated companies. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Rundown on Fun, a weekly podcast covering the Cedar Fair Entertainment Company, the amusement industry, and the business of fun. Here are your hosts, Karsten Anderson, Evan Schultz, and Kyle Hu.
And welcome to this week's episode of the Rundown on Fun, where we talk about Cedar Point, Six Flags, and everything having to do with fun. You'll notice that I am neither Kyle nor Karsten. It is just me this week. Kyle had a little bit of family stuff to take care of this week, so he was already going to be out. And then if you didn't know, this week up here in Northeast Ohio, we got slammed with some crazy thunderstorms. I know both Karsten and I both had tornadoes very close to our house. And due to those tornadoes, Karsten has been without power. So he is unable to record. I thankfully was able to keep my power. Never even flickered. So it's just me this week because, we could have skipped, but there's so much to talk about this week that we couldn't in good faith not talk about the new announcements that came out this week since we recorded last week. Last week we talked all about Rapterra at King's Dominion and their new season, their season passes going on sale. Then this week we had Cedar Point make a closing announcement, and then Carowinds, Kings Island, and Canada's Wonderland all announced new for 2025 attractions. So we'll get to those, but as is customary, of course, we start with the Top Thrill 2 update, and I feel a little weird making the Top Thrill 2 update myself. This is kind of Karsten's thing, but this week, as there kind of has been lately, there's really not much of an update. The update is there is no update. There's been a little bit of work done visibly on Silver Train, but other than that, they've just been kind of working behind the scenes. Zamperella's there working on it. They're still trying. But yeah, it's going to be kind of one of those episodes this week where I'm just going to kind of blow through things because there's nobody to talk to about these things. So, but we felt it was still important to get this information out. But some little bit of good news from Cedar Point before I get into what is closing after this year. They extended their season. Cedar Point and Kings Island hasn't officially announced it online, but Kings Island and Cedar Point have both extended their season by 2 days. So before, the Halloween Haunt at Kings Island and Cedar Point were both supposed to end on Sunday, October 27th, and that, for Cedar Point, that's it for the year, and then Kings Island would take a month off and reopen for Winterfest. But quietly, Kings Island started posting in the park that Halloween Haunt runs through Saturday, November 2nd. And then shortly thereafter, Cedar Point also updated their Halloween's website to say November 2nd. And Cedar Point actually updated the hours on their website to say that, yes, on Friday, November 1st and Saturday, November 2nd, Cedar Point is open from 11 a.m. till midnight. So it's not a full weekend. We don't have the Thursday. We don't have the Sunday. But Cedar Point is open into November this year, which is awesome. And, me and Karsten were talking about how cool it is that closing day is a Saturday this year. And we'll be wrapping up the season at midnight on a Halloween Haunt night. So that's very exciting. Same thing's probably going to go down at Kings Island. They haven't posted their actual hours yet, but like I said, there's in-park advertising for November 2nd being the end of Halloween Haunt. So that's awesome. So now moving on to the actual news of the week and the whole reason I'm even doing anything this week with the podcast. So on August 2nd, which was, what day was that? That was actually last Friday. So we had recorded an episode right before this was announced, and then that episode dropped after it was announced. So that's why we're talking about it now. So on Friday, August 2nd, Tony tweeted and posted a nice blog titled "The Final Tidal Wave." This is announcing that Arrow Shoot the Chutes ride Snake River Falls will be retired after this season at Cedar Point. Its last day will be Labor Day. And I'll read the short little blog that Tony posted. Get ready to go over the falls one last time. After 31 years of soaking riders both on the ride and over its splashy bridge, it's time to quote unquote wave goodbye to the Snake River Falls boat ride. Opened in 1993, Snake River Falls debuted as the tallest, steepest, and fastest water flume ride in the world, standing 82 feet above Frontier Town. Nobody had ever seen anything like it. Original concept art showcased the ride's boats climbing up and over a mountain and meandering through a tunnel before plunging down into a giant wave up to 64 feet wide and 30 feet long. One of the most unique highlights of the ride has always been the exit bridge that traverses over the flume. Over the years, we've had a blast watching riders analyze just the right timing to either avoid or stand right in the middle of the next boat's 1,920 square foot tidal wave, a second way to enjoy the ride, if you will. Now is your last chance to do just that. Snake River Falls will permanently end its operation on Labor Day, September 2nd, 2024, as we make way for future expansion. What's that expansion? Of course, we can't tell you that yet. As with previous attractions that have reached the end of their serviceable life, we honor and respect the past, but look forward to future fun for generations to come. We'll have more details on a special last splash in the coming weeks. For now, take the plunge and join the more than 15 million guests who have enjoyed their ride over the falls. So yeah, nice little tribute from Tony about Snake River Falls. I'm not the biggest water ride guy in the world. I know I don't ride Snake River Falls very often, but I don't know if nostalgia is the right word, but from a nostalgia standpoint, just walking on the Midway, it's going to feel weird not having Snake River Falls there. And it seems like an iconic piece of the back of the park. I mean, obviously with that giant wave, it'll feel weird not having that there at all times. So yeah, I'll miss it in that regard, but I'm definitely excited to see what's next. That opens up a good plot of land just on its own, and then it does back up to what was Forbidden Frontier. So, this could be quite the future of that plot of land there. So very, very excited to see what the future holds. But like I said, sad to see Snake River Falls go. So that leaves us with just Thunder Canyon and as water rides inside of Cedar Point. So moving on, we have Carowinds made their announcement as I record this yesterday, August 7th, but of course you'll all be listening to this Saturday morning. So Carowinds, we talked about last week how they've been teasing, and it quite clearly was going to be a Camp Snoopy edition of some sort, and that's exactly what it ends up being. Camp Snoopy has announced 2 new major family rides. Just like the Snake River Falls, I will just read from their website. So, bigger, better, and snoopier. 2 new major family rides coming in 2025. The fun at Camp Snoopy is getting even bigger, better, and snoopier in 2025 with more ways for kids and families to have a blast together. New in 2025 are 2 fantastic rides, Snoopy's Racing Railway and Charlie Brown's River Raft Blast. New water play areas let kids and families cool down while having splish splash fun. We're also making it easier to have fun with an air-conditioned character meet and greet area, grab-and-go snack shop, and individual family care stations shaped like cute log cabins. Head to Camp Snoopy for bigger, better, and snoopier family fun. So the article goes on to talk about Snoopy's Racing Railway. All aboard for a new launch roller coaster that families can ride together. Camp Snoopy's mess hall is fresh out of root beer and pizza, and Woodstock and his yellow bird buddies are creating quite a ruckus. It's up to the fastest and best engineer around to see that the delivery arrives safely and on time. Engineer Snoopy launches out of the station from 0 to 31 miles per hour in seconds and takes riders on a course filled with thrilling dips and exciting wild turns. Will the delivery get to the mess hall on time? Hop aboard and help Snoopy save the day. So we get a new coaster credit at Carowinds, which is super exciting. This is either going to be a clone of, or at least very, very similar to the new for 2024 coaster at Canada's Wonderland, which I believe is also named Snoopy's Racing Railway, but I could be wrong on that. It's an art engineering roller coaster. It it launches like the description said, and it goes around the course 2 times. And I haven't personally ridden this one up in Canada, but I looked at a video of it knowing that it's going to be very similar, or if not a clone to this one at Carowinds, and it looks like a lot of fun. Right up there with the new family boomerang coaster at Kings Island, Snoopy Soapbox Racers, and even though not a Cedar Fair or Six Flags Park, Good Gravy at Holiday World. While those are boomerang coasters and this is not, it's kind of that same level of thrill and fun. Should be an awesome addition to Carowinds. Who, it'll fit a nice little need in the park where they don't have a lot of rides for the kind of in-betweeners. And that's something I think a lot of parks have been focusing on lately, and that's a good thing. It's a good thing. So moving on to the other ride that they are getting, and this, we just talked about Snake River Falls closing at Cedar Point. Well, while one water ride closes, down south we have a new water ride opening, and that is Charlie Brown's River Raft Blast. Say that 10 times fast. Who's up for a super fun water fight the Camp Snoopy way? Head down to Snoopy's swimming hole and hop on a log raft for a drenching good time with family and friends. With your trusty water blaster mounted to the side of the barge, you can spray fellow boat riders and guests along the shore, and they can spray you back. Throughout your boat trip, you'll see your favorite Camp Snoopy pals swimming, floating, splishing, and splashing, all working hard to get you totally soaked. So this is a very interactive ride. You'll hop aboard a boat, and your seats will be outward facing. You'll be kind of moving sideways as you go through the ride, so that you can, as your boats pass each other, you'll be able to spray people. You'll be able to spray people out on the midway. They'll be able to spray you back. If anybody went to Dollywood in the 2015, 16, 17 area, they had a ride like this. I believe it was called River Battle, which was a total blast. I don't really know why they got rid of it because it was a lot of fun and always a line. Six Flags Great America had a ride like this, and Energylandia over in Poland, which I've been to, has 2 of them. They have a small one and a large one, and Epic Universe is also getting a ride like this. So a lot of people are going to be getting to ride these types of rides, and they're a ton of fun. It'll be the first one in the Cedar Fair legacy chain. And it's good for a park like Carowinds down there in the south where it's just so hot to finally have a water ride again, because they haven't had one since Copperhead Strike opened. They removed their Shoot the Chutes ride for Copperhead Strike and then closed their Thunder Canyon Rapids ride at the same time. So good to have a water ride in the dry amusement park. So if you don't want to go to the water park, you have a good, fun water ride for everybody to ride over in Camp Snoopy. So speaking of water, we're going to move on to Kings Island because they also are getting water additions. However, this will be in their Soak City Water Park. And just like the others, I'm just going to read from their website. New for Soak City in 2025. In 2025, Kings Island Soak City Water Park will debut first of its kind thrills and chills with the addition of River Racers, the first and only dual racing water coaster in Ohio, and 7 new kids water slides in the Riverside themed kids play area, Splash River Junction. Hundreds of new loungers and chairs also will surround the new area with seating options in both the sun and shade. So we'll go into a little more detail about River Racers. River Racers launches side-by-side racers down the first drop at speeds up to 30 miles per hour. Water jets drench and propel riders upward and through an enclosed tunnel with special lighting effects. The race is on with more twists and turns into the open air, high banking slingshot, whipping them 180 degrees into a gravity-defying final mega drop before crossing the finish line. So this is super exciting. This is going to be, I believe, Ohio's first water coaster. There might be one at Zumbizi Bay in Columbus, but even still, very exciting. If you've been to Holiday World, this looks very similar to the Cheetah Chase water coaster in their Splash and Safari. It seems to be the same launch mechanism as that. The upward launch will just have very high pressure water jets pushing your tube up the hill. And of course, the racing element's always a lot of fun. And it's got a nice turquoise color scheme, turquoise maybe light blue, sky blue. And then there's even a little bit of tan in there, which looks really nice. This looks to be right next to their funnel water slide, which so many water parks have those. This is the big orange and blue toilet bowl thing that's kind of in the back of Soak City. And then moving on to Splash River Junction, the new kids activity area, which will be located, and I think right next to the water coaster. Kings Island Soak City is expanding in 2025 with the addition of Splash River Junction. Cool off in Bluegill Lagoon, an old-fashioned swimming hole, complete with a water tower. Salamander Sliders, a set of 7 new water slides with gentle slopes and turns, perfect for young sliders. So, Kings Island's water park gets super, super busy. I know a lot of people down there literally buy season passes just for the sake of going to the water park, and never even really go to Kings Island. So, they get busy. So having this much more capacity and seating and another big slide to eat up some line is really an awesome, awesome addition. And I, for one, love water coasters. So I'm not maybe somebody that goes to Kings Island's water park or really any water park very often, but this is something that might get me over there to check out because it looks like a lot of fun. I'm super excited for it. So that leaves us with the big one of the day. And maybe honestly, the big one outside of anything at Epic Universe, the big one for the year. And that is at Canada's Wonderland. And this is their new premier rides double launched roller coaster named AlpenFUN. I'll read through their little story and all the stats and stuff, but before I get into it, I am blown away by this ride. I'm not quite sure what I expected from Canada's Wonderland. I mean, they've been teasing for probably going on a couple months now. But this thing still just blew away expectations. It's kind of a spiritual successor to Volcano at King's Dominion in the sense that it launches at a slower speed at first, and then you get launched into and then out of Canada's Wonderland's Wonder Mountain. So that'll remind a lot of you at Volcano, because Volcano did very similar at King's Dominion, where it launched, went around a turn, then launched again up and out of the volcano. And it's complete with fire effects and everything. So super, super exciting. And of course, as with Repterra at King's Dominion, there's a bit of a backstory along with this ride. So I will read from that and then give you all the good stats and stuff. So AlpenFUN, Canada's longest, fastest, and tallest launch coaster, coming in 2025. When fire and ice meet inside the mysterious Wonder Mountain, the force will propel you into a thrilling journey, beginning with a launch that blasts your train vertical through the mountain summit, 50 meters into the sky. And 50 meters is about in like the 170-foot range for us American listeners. You'll race across tracks that span the park, reaching speeds of 115 kilometers per hour, which is roughly 70 miles per hour. Flipping and twisting through 9 breathtaking inversions. This is AlpenFUN, Canada's longest, tallest, and fastest launch coaster. Are you brave enough to face nature's wrath? The story. The villagers at the base of Wonder Mountain closed the climbing trails decades ago. After tales began to spread that it had become home to beasts and mystical forces, one legend holds that at the mountain's core, fire and ice come together in their most raw elemental states to create a powerful natural force that is both terrifying and awe-inspiring. The story has become so ingrained in local culture that the Alpen village now celebrates this mythical union with its own fire and ice festival every year. As a visitor, you're fortunate to find yourself in the village during the height of the festival. It's a jubilant and colorful celebration. Those brave enough are invited to visit the sled house, where a sleek, modern sled awaits, outfitted for a journey through the very heart of Wonder Mountain and beyond. The temptation for adventure overcomes any trepidation you feel while about facing the forces within. You board the sled and buckle in before being launched into the journey of a lifetime. So it goes on to say, again, that this is record-breaking. AlpenFUN is a dual-launch roller coaster and will be the longest, tallest, and fastest launch coaster in Canada. It will feature a thrilling launch inside Wonder Mountain that will propel you vertically out its summit, 50 meters into the sky, before hurtling you through the twists and turns of 9 breathtaking inversions, the most inversions for a launch coaster in North America. Unique ride elements, and I find this part really interesting because they came up with the most ridiculous but awesome names for some of the inversions on this ride. AlpenFUN features a double launch, one that propels you into the depths of Wonder Mountain and another that blasts you out of its summit. It features 9 inversions and 3 unique elements you won't experience anywhere else. Those are the Fire Serpent Roll. That is a distant relation to the Sea Serpent Roll, twisting and inverting riders through weightlessness and 2 unparalleled train-to-track near-miss interactions in a single element. The Skyflyer Loop pays homage to the park's former attraction, which was a ripcord Professor Delbert's Frontier Fling style ride for you Cedar Point people that they removed for this ride, and features an ascending helix that crests into a zero-G stall before diving into an inverting descending roll. And then the Ice Winder Roll twists and then untwists riders in 2 inversions as they ascend and descend through an overbanked hill. And then the final, the total ride stats, it is designed by Premier Rides, which I believe is the first Premier Rides coaster built by a Cedar Fair legacy park. Kings Island and Kings Dominion and Canada's Wonderland all have Premier Rides coasters at their parks, Backlot Stunt Coaster and the Flight of Fear coasters, but those were built by Paramount. So I'm not counting those. So I think this is the first time the Cedar Fair people have really worked with Premier. I could be wrong, but off the top of my head. Coaster type, it's a launch coaster. The height of the launch is 50 meters and the drop is 47 meters. The max speed is 115 kilometers per hour. The length of the ride is 1,000 meters, which is roughly 3,200 feet. So pretty long ride. The inversions, there's 9 of them, the most for a launch coaster, any launch coaster in North America, not just Canada. There will be 2 trains of 18 riders apiece, and the duration is 1 minute and 20 seconds, which is pretty darn long when you consider on a launch coaster, you're always doing something. It's not just, 1 minute and 20 seconds, but 50 of those seconds are taken by a lift hill. So very, very exciting for them. You'll see this thing as soon as you walk in the park. I'm not sure if they call it International Street, but their version of International Street as you enter the park looks straight at Wonder Mountain. And there's the fountains right there in the middle, similar to Kings Island. You'll see this thing launching out of the left side of the mountain, and then it'll run parallel to that opening midway to the left side of the midway. Looking at the aerial view, so if you were to enter the park and turn left and head towards Flight Deck, or maybe I believe Skyhawk, I think that's the ride there, or maybe it looks like the entrance to Vortex is also kind of near. That side of the park is of the International Street Midway. You're going to see this thing towering above the buildings. So very, very cool. It's got a icy white track with a very light blue supports. And then that clashes really well with the fire effect coming out of the mountain. I hope that actually does happen because it looks super cool. It looks like the trains will not have the comfort collars that Premier has been known for, which we'll say that those comfort collars aren't exactly comfortable. So the restraints look to be a little bit more comfy than previous Premier rides. If you've ridden Tempesto or Tigris at the Busch Gardens parks or Icebreaker at SeaWorld Orlando, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And it looks like they kind of maybe modified these trains as opposed to those rides to be a little bit easier for those of us with long legs to get in and out of. So yeah, that's really good because that's my only complaint with any Premier Rides coaster is they're a little uncomfy. But if they, looks like they might have fixed the trains on this one, and the rides themselves are always a lot of fun. They're always smooth. They're always really reliable. So that's really exciting. So that wraps up this week of announcements. It seems like maybe next week we will have kind of a Six Flags Legacy Park announcement week, which will be really, really exciting to see. So far, we know that Six Flags Great America and Six Flags New England will be making announcements on August 15th which is Thursday of next week. So maybe some more Six Flags parks will follow. Six Flags Legacy parks will follow suit, and we'll get some more announcements. I know there's some rumors of Six Flags Mexico getting a new coaster. There's some rumors of Six Flags Magic Mountain getting a new coaster. Fairly certain that the Great America and the New England announcements are new coasters. Both parks have been teasing. Great America has been teasing a lot. So that's very intriguing to see what we got there. So yeah, this was definitely a weird episode, a short episode, because it's just me and there's no real discussion to be had. I'm sure next week Kyle and Carson will have their opinions of these rides that were announced, and of course we'll talk about the Six Flags Legacy Parks announcements and anything else that happens in the next week. So yeah, that about does it for me, and only me. So as always, make sure you share this podcast with your friends, your family, your coworkers. Thank you so much for listening and kind of bearing with me as I fill the void of Karsten and Kyle. Probably not as exciting or as our typical episodes, but good news this week that needed to get out. So hopefully you enjoyed. And as always, be kind to your ride operators, and we'll see you on the Midway.
Thank you for listening to the Rundown on Fun. Be sure to follow us on social media to stay up to date on all things Cedar Fair. As always, be kind to your ride operators, and we will see you on the Midway. Good night.